Wind Walks Not Alone by Dan Kelly. All of the lights in the world are out, the stars cloud-covered and lost. Nothing alive can travel about, only the wind and the frost. Only the wind can rustle the sand, and frost can whiten the coast. But then that wind and the corpse-pale land may be but the breath of a ghost. Halloween Candle by Yetza Gillespie. Standing like a woman, her candle blown out, who hides in stillness from what may be about. The earth's heart thuds, but its breath comes light, and the trees give tongue. Tonight, tonight. The stars burn green as the eyes of owls. At the moon's white heels the grey wind howls. The dry leaves tick on the paving stones, with the sapless sound of a cane or bones. Oh stealthy, oh swiftly, lay a wary head on safe goose feathers at middle of the bed. The House by H P Lovecraft. 'Tis a grove-circled dwelling set close to a hill, where the branches are telling strange legends of ill. Over timbers so old that they breathe of the dead, crawl the vines, green and cold, by strange nourishment fed, and no man knows the juices they suck from the depths of their dank, slimy bed. In the gardens are growing tall blossoms and fair, each pallid bloom throwing perfume on the air. But the afternoon sun, with its red slanting rays, makes the picture loom dun on the curious gaze, and above the sweet scent of the blossoms rise odours of numberless days. The rank grasses are waving on terrace and lawn, dim memories saving of things that have gone. The stones of the walks are encrusted and wet, and a strange spirit stalks when the red sun has set, and the soul of the watcher is filled with faint pictures he fain would forget. It was in the hot June time I stood by that scene, when the gold rays of noontime beat bright on the green. But I shivered with cold, groping feebly for light, as a picture unrolled, and my age-spanning sight saw the time I had been there before flash like fulgury out of the night. Awakening by Willis Conover, Jr. Long hours I lay beneath a starless sea, where swam no scaly maid to test her art, and cool my fevered lips against her heart. And in the murky liquor no degree of truth was there to mar the fantasy. Now through the deeps a mystic counterpart of Hermes entered strangely to impart the maddening picture of reality. With magic touch he swept aside the veil, then vanished with the nightmare's scattered dust. But consciousness brought with it quick disgust, for there a coffin lay above the pale. I looked within, and knew all hope had flown. Those sightless eyes, that bloated face, my own. The Werewolf by E L Lowitt. The moon's agleam and the snow is white, all the land lies quiet in the grip of night. 'Tis time to rest, but I cannot rest, for the heart that thunders within my breast, for my pointing ears and my sharpening teeth, red tongue that lolls mid my steaming breath. Now my limbs are covered with soft grey fur. Hark! What was that? Did something stir? Yes. Dark shapes slink o'er the pallid snow. My brother wolves call me, and I must go, for the moon's agleam and the snow is white. Ho, my brothers, we hunt tonight. October Moons by Myra Gregory. October moons are haunted moons. October woods hold mystic runes, written at dusk by hands unseen within the great oak's circle green. Where a late purple aster blooms, the spider folk have set their looms, and woven for this fairy night a web of dreams and sheer delight. In open fields gold pumpkins lie, soon to fulfil their destiny, when, drawn by teams of headlong bats, mounted by dames in pointed hats, they'll whirl about beneath the moon, and sigh that dawn appears so soon. The corn stalks whisper overhead, the maple leaves are golden red, the muskets offer yellow wine, and whoso drinks will be divine, and read the message of the runes. October moons are goblin moons. The Haunted Castle by Lilla Price Sevino. Pale ghosts with snowy hands and flowing hair are gliding up and down yon stairs and hall. Tall shapes, in armour clad or fabrics rare, hasten in answer to their loved one's call. For this old castle, standing on a hill, has seen 12 generations rise and fall. And now the last man of its line lies still within the churchyard, near the crumbling wall. And yet, within its spacious halls and rooms, a troop of merrymakers holds full sway, spirits of those who here held happy court, in wondrous glory of a bygone day. Mortals who pass see lights and hear strange sounds, and flee in terror from the fearful place. They say the castle's haunted by the dead of that ancestral line of noble race. Play on, pale ghosts, until the cold grey dawn warns you to seek again your narrow beds, and in your tattered grandeur sink to rest beneath the crumbling stones that mark your heads. Haunted by Alfred Tooke. Old houses seem to creak a lot at night. I've known the sounds come right across the floor, seemed to give as from some passing step, and up the stairs and past my bedroom door. And in the dark I couldn't see what passed, but always there was wafted in a smell, such as you find in vaults long closed. Too, my room grew dank and chilly as a well. That was the house where once a spy was caught. They hung him from an attic rafter there, with those who harboured him. One woman moved before she got unpacked. I heard her swear that on the stairs, when it was only dusk, she felt the clammy touch of someone's ghost. I found that when the creaking came at night, it was the attic rafters creaked the most. Witch Burning by Mary Elizabeth Counselman. They burned a witch in Bingham Square last Friday afternoon. The faggot smoke was blacker than the shadows on the moon. The licking flames were strangely green, like foxfire on the fen, and she who cursed the godly folk will never curse again. They burned a witch in Bingham Square before the village gate. A housewife raised a skinny hand to damn her, tense with hate. A huckster threw a jagged stone, her pallid cheek ran red. But there was something scornful in the way she held her head. They burned a witch in Bingham Square, her eyes were terror wild. She was a slight, a comely maid, no taller than a child. They bound her fast against a stake and laughed to see her fear. Her red lips muttered secret words that no one dared to hear. They burned a witch in Bingham Square, but ere she swooned with pain, and ere her bones were sodden ash beneath the sudden rain, she set her mark upon that throng, for time cannot erase the echo of her anguished cries, the memory of her face. I'm going to interrupt the flow of these poems just for a little while. I'm always gratified to see how many people click onto these recordings of mine, but I never know how many people listen all the way through, or even half the way through. So if you're hearing this and you feel like doing me a kindness, just type the word listen in the comment section. Thank you very much. The Listeners by Walter de la Mare. Is there anybody there? Said the traveller, knocking on the moonlit door, and his horse in the silence champed the grasses of the forest's ferny floor, and a bird flew up out of the turret above the traveller's head, and he smote upon the door again a second time. Is there anybody there? He said, but no one descended to the traveller. No head from the leaf-fringed sill leaned over and looked into his grey eyes, where he stood perplexed and still, but only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men, stood thronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair that goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveller's call. And he felt in his heart their strangeness, their stillness answering his cry, while his horse moved, cropping the dark turf 'neath the starred and leafy sky. For he suddenly smote on the door even louder, and lifted his head. "Tell them I came, and no one answered, that I kept my word," he said. Never the least stir made the listeners, though every word he spake fell echoing through the shadowiness of the old house from the one man left awake. Aye, they heard his foot upon the stirrup, and the sound of iron on stone, and how the silence surged softly backward when the plunging hoofs were gone. The Melancholy Pool by Clark Ashton Smith. Marked by that priesthood of the night's misrule, the shadow-cowled imprecatory trees, cypress that guarded woodland secrecies, and graves that waited the decaying ghoul, nathless I neared the melancholy pool, chief care of all, but closely sentinelled by those whose roots were deepest in dead eld, where the thwart-woven boughs were wet and cool, as with a mist of poison. I drew near, to mark the tired stars peer dimly down through riven branches from the height of space, and shudder in those waters with quick fear, where in black deeps the pale moon seemed to drown a haggard girl with dead, despairing face. The Witch Girl by A. Leslie. They say a leprechaun walked in the day that I was born, and touched me on the forehead with a green and pointed thorn. They say 3 bats flew through the door and fluttered out again. An owl thrice hooted to the sun. A wolf howled in the fen. I do not know these things are true, but I know that I have seen white shapes flit through the moon mist with little men in green. I've heard the ghostly harpers make music in the night. The fretted fires of Mare have bathed me in their light. I know my face is strangely white, my lips are strangely red. I know my hair coils coldly black like snakes upon my head. I know my childhood playmates were the adder and the frog. I may not tell of things I've seen within the lonely bog. Oh, once I had a lover whose hair was like the sun. Yes, once I had a lover, but only one. He kissed me when the stars were white. He hearkened to my croon, and then my arms were empty, and a bat flew to the moon. And last, but by no means least, Halloween in a Suburb by my favourite writer, H P Lovecraft. The steeples are white in the wild moonlight, and the trees have a silver glare. Past the chimneys high, see the vampires fly, and the harpies of upper air, that flutter and laugh and stare. For the village dead to the moon outspread never shone in the sunset's gleam, but grew out of the deep that the dead years keep, where the rivers of madness stream down the gulfs to a pit of dream. A chill wind weaves through the rows of sheaves in the meadows that shimmer pale, and comes to twine where the headstones shine, and the ghouls of the churchyard wail for harvests that fly and fail. Not a breath of the strange grey gods of change that tore from the past its own can quicken this hour, when a spectral power spreads sleep o'er the cosmic throne and looses the vast unknown. So here again stretch the vale and plain that moons long forgotten saw, and the dead leap gay in the pallid ray sprung out of the tomb's black maw, to shake all the world with awe. And all that the morn shall greet forlorn the ugliness and the pest of rows where thick rise the stone and brick shall some day be with the rest, and brood with the shades unblessed. Then wild in the dark let the lemurs bark, and the leprous spires ascend, for new and old alike in the fold of horror and death are penned, for the hounds of time to rend. Happy Halloween, everybody. If you've enjoyed this recording, please like it and comment it. It all helps. Thank you.